Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of True Blunt Crime. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be going over the disappearance, the search for, and ultimately the discovery of a 4-year-old girl. This is the story of Maleah Davis. Now, before we get into it, please allow me to say thank you so much for watching. On Saturday, May 4th, 2019, Texas resident Darian Vance was on his way to pick up his girlfriend Brittany from George Bush Airport in Houston. Traveling with Darian are his 2 stepchildren, Brittany's 2 children from a previous relationship, 2-year-old Peyton and 4-year-old Maleah. Now, somewhere along that route, Darian caught a flat tire, and he ended up pulling over around the intersection of US Highway 59 and Greens Road. Now, while Darian is fixing this flat tire, a blue Chevy Tahoe pulls up behind him, and 2 Hispanic males get out and approach Darian. The first male makes a comment along the lines of, "Maleah looks very nice," or "Maleah looks very pretty." That's when the second man smashed Darian over the head with a rock. Now Darian, he lost consciousness. When Darian came to, he was actually in the back of that Chevy Tahoe, and he still had 2-year-old Peyton and 4-year-old Maleah with him. Now Darian, he was still a bit woozy from that blow to the head, so he had actually lost consciousness for a second time. Now, when Darian came to, once again, he was actually on the street. He was laid out on the corner of 59th Street and US Highway 6 in Sugar Land, Texas. Now, Darian, he immediately tries to get help from anyone he could find around him, but no one would help him. I could imagine he just got up off the floor, he's bleeding from the head, he's probably still a bit woozy and not walking straight. I'm sure by this point, he was a sight to behold. Where Darian came to in Sugar Land, Texas, was actually 40 miles away from where he was attacked. So they had taken him quite a distance. Now, Darian had to walk his way 5 miles to Methodist Hospital in Sugar Land, Texas. Now, Darian arrives at Methodist Hospital at around 6 p.m. This is on Saturday, May 4th. The next part is unclear. They're not sure if Darian lost consciousness or he just doesn't have any memory of the rest of that night. But the next thing that Darian can recall is Sunday morning at 10 a.m. is when he awoke. That's when he noticed that he actually still had 2-year-old Peyton with him, but 4-year-old Maleah is gone. He had actually had no idea Peyton was there, let alone that Maleah wasn't. And to make matters even worse, 2 months before this heinous attack, Maleah had undergone brain surgery. So she was on round-the-clock medications that she would have needed. Told the hospital staff everything. And the hospital staff put in for that Amber Alert at 10 a.m. Now the sheriff's department took that Amber Alert seriously straight from the beginning. The sheriffs already had cadaver dogs at the scene of Darian's attack by noon. So they were not wasting any time trying to find Maleah. Once that Amber Alert went out, Maleah's mother, Brittany, was immediately notified by the hospital that her daughter was missing. Oddly enough, Brittany decided to go out and get political activist Quanell X to be sort of her legal representative. He would accompany her to press conferences. He accompanied her to an interview that she did, which is wild. We're gonna get into that. But I found that a little strange. Texas EquiSearch also got involved in finding Maleah. They spared no expense. Now, they wasted no time in trying to find Maleah. They had hundreds of volunteers. They handed out over 700 flyers with Maleah's face on it. They had boats on the water, helicopters in the sky, so they were quite literally searching high and low for Maleah. And for about a week, nothing came up. One thing police found pretty suspicious is that when they got to the scene of Darian's attack at Greens Road and US Highway 59, his silver Nissan Altima was not there. It was gone. So, whoever these two men were, they must have taken Maleah and Darian's car. So now the police are searching for both. With that car missing, the police put out a picture of it, hoping that the public could help locate that car. And after about a week of Maleah missing and nothing coming up, the public found that Nissan Altima. It was located in Missouri City, Texas. Oh, what, you thought Missouri City would be in Missouri? Oh, you poor misguided soul. Yeah, America just makes no sense sometimes. That car was found in a strip mall. And when police got there, they noticed that there were no flat tires on that car. So whoever these two men were, I'm imagining they got back in the conversation with something like, hey, listen up. We put that poor man through enough. The least we could do is fix the tires on his car. We are kidnappers. We're not monsters. Get it together and get it fixed now. In my mind, that's how that went. Realistically, Darian was full of shit. Nothing he said actually happened. So, once police noticed there were no flat tires on that car, Darian was arrested. Now, at first, all they could get him on was evidence tampering and tampering with a human corpse, which I don't know how you can catch that type of charge without there being a human corpse to prove you tampered with. But then again, I'm not a lawyer. I am an armchair gynecologist, okay? Don't listen to my legal advice. Darian's first court date was actually the next day on May 11th. That's when the judge gave him $45,000 bail. Now, let me explain something. In the US, you only have to pay 10% of your bail. So that $45,000 bail is actually a $4,500 bail. It's still a handsome ransom, but it's not as bad as $45,000. On May 12th, that's when Brittany and Quan LX sat down with Len Cannon from KHOU 11 Houston, Texas, to do that interview that I was telling you about. I want to play something in the order that I saw it, and I want to know a couple of things that you caught. Here it is.
You have brought this up in interviews, and this is a touchy subject. You have said in interviews that there was abuse in the home and Brittany was afraid to reveal it because she was afraid. You have put that out there. Are you saying there was abuse?
Hell yeah, I'm saying there's abuse. And there's a whole lot more.
And you're saying...
But let me say this.
And you're saying that Brittany was not aware.
Let me say this.
I want to be clear.
She was not aware. Justice for her is the priority. Where she is the priority. Everybody else are adults. They have to stand on their own 2 feet and answer for whatever they've done. But that child is the priority. And let me be straight with you. This man has to answer. He has to answer for what happened before she came up missing. He has to answer for that. Because there's a lot more here. This mother had no idea that this child was leaving the house with him in the morning. He's saying, I'm taking the child to daycare. but only later to learn from the investigation from both HPD and us that he was bringing the child back home sometimes with him. What is your purpose to tell this mother while she's going to class or she's going to work, Maleah's at daycare, yeah, I took her to school, but come to find out she's at home with you? Why would you lie and say she's at daycare, but have her in the house with you? The very day that she went to the airport, picked up by her friend, she leaves out the house believing Maleah is at the daycare and didn't even know he had snuck her back in the house as she walking out the door. What you doing, brother?
There's no conceivable reason to lie to Brittany saying that you've taken her daughter to school and you are actually taking her back home. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he's lazy, maybe he wants to game a bit, but then again, that made no sense. Because if you're lazy and you wanted to game, you wouldn't have a 4-year-old at home with you hanging off of you. You'd take her to school so you have time to yourself. He's a freaking weirdo to begin with. Now let's get to Brittany's part of it. If you didn't catch what I caught that was wild, just walk with me for a minute. The first thing Lynn Cannon asked is, was there abuse? And the answer they gave is there was, and Brittany was too afraid to speak up about it. Within 1 minute, the interview asked one more time, was there abuse? They answer yes and say Brittany had no idea that there was abuse going on. So you can't have it both ways. Either you knew the entire time and did nothing, which is actually what Maleah's father's entire family believes. They believe that Brittany is culpable, being that she knew everything that was going on and just did nothing to help poor little Maleah. It turns out that 30 minutes after that first interview there, Brittany actually admitted to Quanell that she was still talking to Darian. She went to visit Darian. And 1 week after that interview, Quanell stepped down as Brittany's legal representative. And I found the reason interesting. I'm gonna play it for you. Here's his words of why he stepped down.
And in private, Quanell says he saw a different Brittany than the one seen on TV.
There was not a lot of tears. She was always calm, fluid, clear. Now, whenever there was a public thing, she would break down. She knows the truth, and she knows that eventually she's going to have to answer for that.
Now, Brittany's looking a little suspicious at this point. One bit of information that I chose to hold on to until now is that the police had security camera footage of Darian carrying bleach in and out of the home. Also, he was carrying a large laundry basket with a large trash bag inside. Police believe that it's Maleah inside that trash bag.
We already know and believe that she's dead. I'm sure that if he really wanted to, he'd probably tell us exactly where to find that body. And that's just an opinion based on what I know so far.
Now, while all this is going on, the community, they've started holding vigils to celebrate Brittany's life. They wanted to make sure that people did not just forget her name and that she got some justice here. Which, I mean, that's definitely something that kind of made me feel good within this horrible story, is that this 4-year-old girl had managed to touch everyone's hearts to where they came together to celebrate her and to make sure that no one ever forgot the name of Maleah Davis, which is something that I really love and I really commend them for doing. Quanell X went to visit Darian, and Darian actually confessed everything to him. What had happened and everything that followed. Darian claims it was an accident. She bumped her head, she fell out, he panicked, and he, I guess, wrapped her in a trash bag and a laundry basket and had to clean up the blood with bleach. She was so panicked. Quan Alex relayed everything Darian told him to the police, including where to find Maleah's body. Now, Maleah's body was a 5-hour drive away in Arkansas. He had been driving along the highway. He decided to just stop, and he threw Maleah out of the car like she was trash. Now the next part may be hard to hear because it's very hard for me to say. But the highway authorities' mowers had unfortunately gotten there first. They could have no idea what was inside. And it looked like any other trash bag. So unfortunately, the mowers ran over poor Maleah's body, basically destroying her body. She had to be identified by shreds of her clothing and pieces. Sorry, a little choked up. Pieces of her jewelry. The day after whatever was left of Maleah's body was discovered, Brittany moved away. She just disappeared, and no one appears to know where she had gone. On May 27th, 2021, an entire 2 years after all of this happened, Darian was sentenced to 40 years to life in state prison. Hopefully, he'll never see the light of day again. It was revealed that Darian had beat and strangled poor little Maleah until she died. And it was also revealed that he did it the day Brittany left for her father's funeral. He says he got in an argument with Brittany, he was angry, and unfortunately, this monster decided to take that out on poor little Maleah. Turns out that Brittany was in Massachusetts at her father's funeral. Police did confirm with the funeral home. Now I want to leave you guys on a good note because that got extremely dark extremely quick, even for a true crime channel. One thing I do love is that every year the community gets together to celebrate Maleah's birthday. They hand out balloons, hand out cake, and they just get together to celebrate a life that was taken way too soon.
And this is definitely one of them. It touched the nation, and so to make sure that she's honored traditionally every year, absolutely.
And if you made it this far, then you've made it to the end of the video. And please allow me to say thank you so much for sticking around. If you want to support a small, growing, human-run true crime channel, I'm sorry, AI channels are weird, then please consider hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and even that notification bell so you never miss any time we upload, which is 2 videos 2 times a week, Tuesday and Thursday. But that being said, I've been Mike, you've been you, and together let's all just be safe. Peace.